Welcome. So I promised my brother and some others a more basic yoga class today. If you've taken my classes before, it's one that's more similar to what I used to teach at the YMCA in Santa Barbara. It is still difficult because anytime that we're working with our body and activating our muscles, we are going to feel changes taking place and still obviously transformative. So, find yourself a few props for today. One is a pillow, and we'll use this as you'd use a bolster in class. So to start, we'll sit on this pillow with our sit bones at the very edge of the pillow and legs crossed out to the side. This makes sitting in a cross-legged position easier. If you're still like, nope, no way, I just don't sit cross-legged, it's not gonna happen. Bring over a chair and start seated on a chair just for the start of this class. Yoga is not supposed to be anything that causes you pain. It's supposed to be something that helps you uncover where in your body perhaps brings you pain, or ways to find pathways out of pain. So no pain. Secondly, find a sweatshirt or a long t-shirt that you roll up on itself that you will use as a strap. This is used to do things like grab underneath our leg or put on our foot so we can stretch our leg out away from us. We'd use a strap in a classroom setting, but you can just use a nice sweatshirt or long sleeve t-shirt rolled over on itself to make that happen here. And as with any yoga class, we start by just settling down into where we are. So allow your eyes to softly close in whatever comfortable seat you found for yourself. And hearing the hum of your breath, know that it's necessary to enter into this part of your nervous system. It's called the parasympathetic nervous system or your rest and digest nervous system. We spend most of our days, especially lately, in our more fight and flight or sympathetic nervous system. But when we live there forever, we start to see a lot of different chronic pain or disease situations inside of ourselves. So we need to enter into this more relaxed state of our nervous system that takes care of us, that restores us. One of the best ways to do that is through bringing your breath into your diaphragm or your ribs. So placing your hands on your ribs for a diaphragmatic breath. See if you could breathe into your hands, expanding them out side to side. And on your exhales, feel those ribs come back together. At the start, you might not feel very much movement. But as with anything, as you stick with it, repeat it, give it attention, it starts to grow. Taking a few more diaphragmatic breaths here, spreading your ribs side to side on the inhales. Knowing that diaphragmatic breathing is one of the best things you can do to move immune cells or your lymph system throughout your body. It's also one of the first things physical therapists give patients that have low back pain. So take two more breaths here. See if you could take that breath out of your chest, bringing it down to the ribs. And keeping your eyes closed, bring your fingertips down to both sides of your hips here. If you become uncomfortable in the position you're in, you could switch the cross of your legs. You can come to sit in a chair, come to sit on your feet. On an exhale, bring your ear towards the right shoulder. Press the fingertips down and away from you, feeling a stretch in your upper traps, your scalenes, these muscles that connect from your shoulders up towards your neck, up towards your head. One more breath in here. On an exhale, chin traces the chest, bringing left ear towards the left shoulder. Press the right fingertips down into the ground, far and away from you, breathing into the neck here. If ear to the shoulder is an uncomfortable or a pain-provoking position for your neck, bring it to a different position. Maybe the nose comes closer to the ground. Finding a place to breathe that feels free or releasing or positive for your neck. Exhaling, trace the chin across the chest and just take a few rolls side to side here. Finding anywhere that feels a little sticky, maybe pausing or moving more slowly there, bringing a few more breaths there, bringing more of your attention there. And sometimes it feels like we could just do this all day with our neck. And on a breath in, bring your head back up towards the center. Reach your arms out in front of you as far as you can, spreading your shoulder blades wide. And on an exhale, root the shoulder blades back towards each other, like you're parking those shoulder blades, those scapula on the wall behind you. Inhale, spread the shoulder blades apart. Exhale, bring them back and together. One more time. Inhale, spread them apart. Exhale, bring them back and together. And staying with the shoulder stabilization, bring your hands at your sides, palms face the ceiling. Inhale, spread the hands wide, keep the elbows at the side. Exhale, bring them back towards the center. 3 more times like that. Inhaling as you spread. Exhaling as you bring them to the middle. This may seem like a simple movement, but if you're engaging all the muscles around your shoulders as you do it, it can really be one of the strongest movements that you've done all morning here. One more time. Good. And activating the last of our shoulder stabilizers, bring the outer edge of your pinkies, forearms to touch. Inhaling, lift the arms up as high as you can and hold them there. Press the outer forearms into each other. See if you could begin to bring the elbows up towards chin height. See that shake in your arms here as you activate new motor units you don't classically activate in your arms. Rise them up a little higher. And on an exhale, open the arms. Pointer finger and thumbs come to touch in a diamond overhead. Take a breath and look up at your hands. And on an exhale, like you're moving your arms through molasses, drag your elbows back down towards your side. Lovely. And release. Making your way onto all fours. If it doesn't feel that great for your knees to be on the ground in this position, you could take that same pillow you had and place it underneath your knees. This also brings a nice added balance challenge for yourself here. So certainly a lovely option to take. Take your head here and tuck your chin in like you're crushing a tiny little grape underneath your chin. Keep the back of the head reaching to the sky as you inhale, reach the right leg back behind you. Goal here is for no other part of your body to move as that leg lifts up. So exhale, bring the knee back to the ground. And try again. Inhaling, reach the right leg back. See if you could keep the rest of your body still. Hug the front of the hips together like you're narrowing a belt around your waist here. Again, keeping the body stable. See if you could lift the left hand off the ground. If you did so easily without a lot of your body tilting around, reach the left arm forwards. Reach fingertip and heel even further apart from each other. Back of the head lifts up to the crown of the sky. Can you find that little grape under your chin again? While it might be basic, it doesn't make it easy. Hold this position for one more breath in. Exhaling, hand down, knee down. Finding that stability in your belly here. Front of the ribs gather together. So we're not sinking down here. We're finding that strength in the front of our body. Keep that as the left leg floats back behind you. Flexing the left heel. Feel how when you push the left leg back, the left hip drops down a little bit. So it's not lifted up, so the bum's not spreading wide. Option to lift the right hand off the ground here. If you feel that too much in your left wrist, you could bring the right hand back down or press down through the left fingers so you're not sitting so much into that left wrist and reach the right arm straight out in front of you. Pressing right shin into the ground. Inhale, reach even further. Exhale, hold it here. Finding the static strength within your body that carries you through for one more breath here. Exhale, bring the hand down, bring the knee down. One more time, inhale, right leg lifts back behind you. This time, lower the right toes down to the ground. With the toes on the ground, push the heel back behind you and take a few rocks back and forward here. With the heel reaching back, crown of the head reaching forward. You're only moving about 2 inches in both directions. It starts to warm up the back of those legs for downward facing dog. Pause here, coming back to the middle. Feel like you're trying to kick your heel up towards the sky. Feel how that activates the entire back of your leg here. And using your leg, not your low back, can you lift that leg back up so it's in line with the hip? Back of the leg, hamstring should be so active here that you do not feel it in your low back. Option again to reach forward with that left arm, pressing down the right finger pads so we feel it less in our wrist. Reaching even further than you did last time here. One more breath in. Exhale, hands down, knee down. Left leg reaches back behind you. Toes come to the ground. Find a rock back and forth between the head and the heel here. If your wrists are starting to bother you at all, always option to come into 2 fists on the hands. Good. Then pausing somewhere right in the middle between your rocks. Engage the back of your left leg so it feels like your heel wants to kick the sky, and lift the leg up using the leg muscles. Leave the low back out of it. Hug the front of the hips together like your waist is narrowing. Right arm maybe reaches forward. Press left hand, right shin into the ground and grow even longer with everything lifted. One more breath in here. Exhale, bring your hand down, bring your leg down. You can move the pillow off to the side if you had one, coming back into child's pose here. Legs can be together or apart. Feel out what works best for your hip joints. And if your head doesn't come to the ground here, you could either grab a book or a block to place your head on, or stack your fists and just bring your forehead to the fists. Bringing pressure to this part of our forehead helps to activate our vagus nerve. The nerve responsible for the parasympathetic nervous system, that rest and digest, that restorative part of your system. So allowing a pressure to come through the forehead here, breathe into it. On your next inhale, come back through all fours. Tuck your toes under and lift your knees just a tiny bit off the ground. And take your sit bones, those two bones you sit on behind you, and imagine spreading them far and wide, side to side. Begin to lift your sit bones up and back so your ears come between your upper arms for downward facing dog. You might want to walk your arms a little bit further away from you. But find a position where the arms feel like the shoulders are stable. Press the fingertips down and away from you, hugging your armpits over towards your face. So they're not falling towards the ground, but you're externally rotating the arms a tiny bit so the armpits come towards the face. With nice bent knees here, see if you could lift your bum even higher up in the air behind you. We're not caring about straightening the legs here. Keep a nice healthy bend in them. What we're doing here is a nice traction of the low back. Keeping the arms engaged by pressing the arms, hands down away from you. On an exhale, walk your feet to your hands, keeping the knees bent as you walk forwards. Bringing your hands onto your thighs, knees can stay bent here. Shake the head out, no. Nod the head, yes. Move the head in any which direction, shape that feels good for you here. Taking your hands, bring them to your outer shins and press your hands into your outer shins into your hands. So there's a resistance between the two. On a breath in, straighten the arms, looking a little forward. On a breath out, bend the arms, folding forward again. Keeping those knees bent, rise to standing arms, circle, reaching up to the sky. Exhale, bring your hands down to your heart, legs come to straight here. Inhale, circle the arms, reach up to the sky, growing so long. Grabbing onto the right wrist. On an exhale, bend over towards your left hand side here, facing the camera so you can see. See if you could prevent your hips from going towards the right here. Keep the inner thighs engaged together and stay in the center for one more breath. Inhaling, come back up to the center. Grabbing onto the opposite wrist. Reach up and then over towards the right. So when a tree branch sways in the wind, it doesn't just crack down to one side. It takes this long arc as it goes. That's the movement you're finding in your torso here. Inhale, come back up to the center. Exhale, bring your hands down to your sides. Bending your knees, sit your bum back, Utkatasana chair pose. So ideally those knees are right about over the ankles and the bum sits back behind you. Take your hands and bring them to the sides of your waist. Lift the ribs up and away from the hips. So we're not sitting into our low back here. We're not tucking everything under here. We're taking our sit bones, bringing them back, and then lifting our ribs, almost shimmying them up and away from our hips. Bring your arms out in front of you like you're trying to do a little chin up here. And feel like you're pressing your elbows down to your knees while you're lifting your knees up to your elbows. So much strength and muscular activation going on in the body here, helping to fortify and support around the low back and around the hips. Keeping that engagement for one more breath in here. Exhale, come to stand. Inhaling, arms reach up to the sky. Exhale, bring the hands to the ground, bending the knees as you come down. Inhale, hands to thighs, lift up halfway. Exhale, hands to the ground, stepping back 1 foot at a time, coming into a plank position or a modified plank pose, dropping those knees towards the ground, heels kick to the bum. Press the ground away from you so it feels like your chest lifts up even higher towards the sky. Spreading the fingertips wide, take a breath in here. And on an exhale, lower down for a count of 4, 3, 2, 1, all the way to the ground. Straightening the legs back behind you. Now, in any back bend, it is so important that we find the strength in our legs here. So feel like your inner thighs are scissoring towards each other here and rotating a little bit inwards. So it's like your inner thigh wants to lift up to the sky. Using the strength of the leg, press the big toes down. Inhale, lift up, cobra pose. Hands feel like they want to slide back towards the hips. Hold it here. It doesn't matter how high you lift. Just keep the legs so strong here. Pubic bone wants to reach to the front of the mat. One more breath in here. Exhale, release it down. Take your fingertips wider than your mat and tent them. So it looks like just your very, very tips of your fingers are pressing the ground. Inhale, roll the shoulders back and down, lifting up for cobra pose. Legs are strong. Again, hold it here. Take those shoulders away from your ears and park the shoulder blades back and down. One more breath in here. So beautiful. Exhale, release it down. Place your hands under your shoulders and press back through all fours or a push-up. Tucking those toes under, lift just the knees up. Hover here. Feel the sit bones spread back behind you. And then lifting the sit bones up and back, head comes between the upper arms, down dog with the knees bent. This time, focusing less on our arms, they know what to do, and bringing our attention to our legs here. Can you feel like your toes, your feet just want to push the mat back behind you? Feel how that spreads your sit bones a little bit more here. Feel like your heels want to kick up to the sky. And with this nice activation, maybe you start straightening the legs a little bit more, but not if it compromises the low back and has you tuck under. So keep that tiny little arch in your low back, lifting the sit bones up and back. On an exhale, slowly walk the feet towards the hands, tiny step after tiny step, keeping the knees nice and bent here. Once again, bring the hands to the thighs. Inhale, lift up halfway, long spine. Exhale, fold it forwards. Rise to stand, arms reach up to the sky, straightening the legs. Exhaling, hands down through your heart. Finding chair pose once more here. Sit the bum back behind you. This is one of my favorite poses to do whenever my low back is feeling funky. So take those chin up bar arms. Feel like your elbows are trying to touch your knees. Woo. Feel that strength. If I could right now, I'd put my hand underneath your arm and have you press down into it. So imagine that's what you're doing right now with your arms and feel how it naturally engages your belly, your low back. Inhale, lift your heels up off the ground. Exhale, lower them down. One more time, inhale, lift them up. Exhale, lower them down, coming to stand, hands at your sides. Step the right foot back behind you for a high lunge. Keeping the back knee bent here. Arms reach up towards the sky. Scissor your right knee towards the front of your mat like you could just kick it forwards. And see if you could find that same feeling of your ribs lifting up and away from your hips. So you don't have to suck in your belly or tighten anything. It's simply that your hips are going down and you're lifting up through your ribs so you naturally have your belly narrow in. It's nothing you have to try to do. Inhaling, rise back on up and come to face the right-hand side of your mat. All 10 toes point towards the right. Reaching the arms equally side to side. Flex your hands, fingers towards the nose. Inhale, look over the right arm. Bring the left arm a little behind you. And coming back to the middle, looking forwards. Then looking out over that left hand, opposite arm comes a little bit behind you. You might feel a little tingling in the forearm. That's just your nerve moving through your connective tissue here. Inhaling back to the middle. Turn your left toes towards the front of your mat. Check that your left heel, if you were to draw a line back from it, it would intersect the middle of your arch on your right foot. Bend your left knee so the knee comes over the ankle here, coming into warrior two. Our arms are in a T position. If this feels at all uncomfortable for you, you could either walk your legs closer together, or you could bring your right leg a little further towards either the right or the left side of your mat. See if that changes things for your hips at all. Roll the shoulders back and down. And see if you could take that breath and once again send it into those ribs. A lot of the reason that we have neck pain is because we tend to breathe into our chest all day, shortening and tightening all those neck muscles that run from our shoulders up to our head. So when we send the breath elsewhere, we can work with that. One more breath into the ribs here. Exhale, come back up to standing. Turn the left toes in, turn the right toes out, finding warrior two on the right-hand side. This side will feel different. We are asymmetrical. But see if you could find similar muscular engagements on this side that helped you on the other side. Maybe you feel your inner thighs pulling towards each other like you're trying to narrow your mat in. Maybe you take a little bend in your back knee because it feels a little weird to have it totally straight. Maybe you press your right thigh towards behind you so you can feel a nice opening in the front of that right hip. Breathe. On an exhale, straighten that right leg. Turn all 10 toes towards the wall, towards the camera, and clasp the hands behind you. If you're unable to clasp your hands here, you can grab your handy dandy sweatshirt or yoga strap and place it between your arms, feeling like you're trying to pull the sweatshirt apart from itself. On a breath in, lift the chest up to the sky. And on a breath out, bend the knees as you fold forwards, reaching the knuckles up towards the sky. Again, feel like you're trying to pull the sweatshirt or the strap or the shirt apart from itself. With your knees bent here, let's find a little activation. Feel like you're trying to kick your heels up to the sky and see how the entire back of your legs light up here. Without even needing to move into a stretch, it feels like they're being stretched. On an inhale, lift up through the chest, rising back up, legs squeeze together, and put that strap back off to the side. Turning to face the right-hand side, bending both knees for a standing high lunge here. Bending the back knee, finding a 90-90 with the legs. Just this is the most lovely stretch in your left thigh, if you've been running recently. Feel like you could almost kick that left leg forward. That's how much that left knee is trying to reach to the front of the mat. Find that shimmy lift of the ribs up and away from the hips. And on an exhale, straighten both legs, turning towards the side once again. This time the right toes turn towards the side of your mat. Warrior two once again on the right-hand side. Option to stay here or to take that right forearm and bring it towards the right thigh. If that's not happening, bring the right hand on the right thigh. You're simply just beginning to side bend towards the right. Reach the left arm towards the camera, and on an exhale, plug that shoulder blade back in its socket, just like we did at the start of the class. From there, reach the left arm up towards the sky, and the fingers turn so the palm faces the back of the room as you do so. To find a little strength in the sides of your waist here, you could lift up the right arm, maybe reaching it out to the side as well. If that feels like too much for you, use the right hand on the leg to support you here. Use it to guide that right knee towards the outer right hip, so the knee's not collapsing inwards here. On an exhale, come back up, warrior two. Straightening that right leg. Turn the right toes in, turn the left toes out, warrior two on the left. Finding that position in your feet that feels good for you here. See if you could take your hand on your right hip and try to rotate it inwards a little bit. So it feels like you're rooting and pressing down through the outer edge of that back foot. And coming into side angle pose, left forearm or hand comes to the left thigh. Let's do the same thing with our right arm here. Reach it so far towards the right, and then plug the shoulder blade back. From there, turn the hand backwards as you lift the arm up overhead. Again, it doesn't matter how far you are in this pose. It just matters that your muscles are supporting your joints here. That's just that this practice is leading to integrity and strength and resilience in your body. On an exhale, coming back to warrior two, straightening the left leg. Find your strap once again. And taking a shoulder stretch, round two. Clasping behind your back. Inhale, lift up through the chest. Exhale, folding forward with a long, long, long spine, bending the knees. And maybe you don't want to fold fully forwards here. It's too much for your back. You can keep a long spine here. That is the crown of the head reaching away from the tail. And just try to bring the shoulders up towards the sky. Reach the knuckles up and away from the head. On the breath in, come back up to standing and bring the strap off to the side. Toe heel your feet together and come to stand on the left leg at the front of your mat, grabbing behind the right thigh. Now, if you're unable to grab behind the thigh, that's why we have this strap sweatshirt shirt. So you can simply hold it while putting it underneath your thigh here. Press your thigh down into the strap. And notice if you could see your left hip here because you've tucked it under so much. Send your hips a little bit back behind you. It almost feels like you're sticking your butt out behind you. Activating that gluteus medius, one of those most amazing hip stabilizers here. Exhaling, bring the right leg down. Switching sides, you can bring that strap under the left thigh or clasp the hand under it. Lift the left leg up so the knee is about hip height. Again, not tucking under our hips here, but send your right bum a little bit back behind you. Lift the waist up and out of the hips. Feel the crown of the head grow an inch taller towards the sky. Exhaling, bring the left leg down. Once again, coming behind the right thigh here. This time, either bring your left hand to the outer side of the right thigh or take your straps just in your left hand, twisting towards the right hand side. Now the hips stay facing front. They're not coming with us in this twist. What moves is our ribs. Maybe you don't turn all the way to the right, you turn about 25 degrees. Wherever you go, be all there. It's perfect, it's good, it's enough. And send your breath into the sides of your ribs here once again. Maybe you have enough space to check in with your shoulders here. Seeing if they've creeped up to your ears, can you relax them down and back? Like your shoulder blades want to kiss your sacrum or the back of your hips. Exhaling, turn back towards the middle. Bring the right leg down, switching sides. And grabbing underneath that left leg. I love the strap because it means we don't compromise our form just to grab things. So bringing that strap in the right hand this time, or grabbing the outside of the left leg with the right arm. Reach the left arm back behind you, beginning to twist to the left towards your bent leg. Newton said that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So can you press your right foot into the ground so much that it makes you grow even taller? You press your foot down, the ground pushes back on you and helps you grow taller. And checking in with those shoulder blades once more here. And on an exhale, turn back towards the middle. Bring the left leg down. You can bring the strap off to the side. Coming into tree pose, Vrikshasana. Standing on that left leg once again. Bring the right foot to the inseam of the left leg. And it can be anywhere, as high as it goes. See if you can not grab it and place it somewhere, but use the strength that you have in that leg to bring the foot somewhere. Hands press into the heart center. Foot presses into the opposite leg. Can you feel a ceiling between the two sides of the body, making strength up your midline? And see if you could find that every action has an equal and opposite reaction law once again here. Can you press down through the left foot and have that let you grow up just a little taller? If you're having any pain in your standing leg, just take a little bend in the knee. Balance challenge to raise the arms up towards the sky and begin to move the arms. Imagining your arms like branches in this tree pose, blowing around and trying to knock over your tree. Eventually falling out of it and coming to the opposite side, standing on the right leg. Left foot comes to the inseam of the right leg anywhere. I'll demonstrate it with it a lower down. Hands come in towards the heart. And your knee can be as much turnout as you have. So if it's facing more towards the front, that is fine. If it's facing all the way back behind you, I challenge you to point both hips towards the front. Finding a single point to focus your gaze on, your drishti. And allowing that single point to be the only thing that exists in this world right now. Rise your arms up to the sky. And keep all of your attention focused on that point as you move your arms around. You stay focused on that point as you move your arms even further around until you fall out of your tree. Coming back to the front of your mat here. Inhale, arms rise up to the sky. Exhale, bend your knees as you fold forward, hands to the ground. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to the thighs. Exhale, fold back to the ground. One last chair pose just because I love it. Bend the knees, Utkatasana. Take those chin up bar arms. Knees want to kiss the elbows, elbows want to kiss the knees. Feel the belly grow in and up, engaging here just because of your strength. One more breath in. Exhale, bring the hands slowly back to the ground. This time, hands clasped behind the head. And inhale, halfway lift, press your head up into your hands. Hold it here. Keep your head pressing up into your hands as your torso is parallel towards the ground here. Now, as you begin to fold forward on an exhale, keep your head pressing into your hands. Keep it pressing till the hands can come to the ground. And you walk your feet back for a top of a push-up plank position. Again, option to modify the plank, bringing the quads towards the ground, not being on your kneecaps. Take a breath in here. Exhale, lower all the way down to the ground. Finding that cobra pose we found at the start of class. Legs are so strong. Like seriously, I do this only because of my legs. Keeping the fingers on the ground ever so slightly, press the big toes down and peel your pubic bone towards your face. So I'm not pressing it up into the sky. I'm allowing it to press down towards the ground, wanting to come to the front of the mat. Keeping that engagement, inhale, lift up. Holding it here, feel like your hands want to slide back. Inhaling here. Exhale, lowering down. This time, take your elbows, forearms, place them on the ground, elbows right under the shoulders for Sphinx pose. Take that same feeling that your pubic bone or the very front of your pelvis here, front of your hips, wants to drag towards the front of your mat. Slide the elbows back so it's like the elbows want to touch the hips. Feel how much activation that creates in the front of your body. Checking in with your neck here. Tuck your chin in, pressing your neck back like you had your hands behind your head earlier. This is not the position we always like to keep our head in, but it's so good for strengthening our deep neck flexors. These muscles we often don't use when we sit at our computers all day. One more breath in here. Exhale, lower all the way down to the ground. Turn your head towards the right. Rest your arms at your sides and just breathe here for a moment. Bringing that nice rib expansion breath back into the body. Noticing what changes have happened inside of you. Sending a little extra breath, extra space anywhere that feels a little crampy or stuck. Taking this time to learn our bodies so we're not surprised when things happen to them. Bring your head back to the center. And stack your hands on top of each other, elbows out to the side. This one's for my partner, Rylan, since he's been having neck pain lately. So on a breath in, lift your forehead away from your hands, press the back of the head to the ceiling. Look towards your right, keep the back of your head lifting to the ceiling. Look towards your left, come back to the middle, bring your head back down to your hands. Take 5 more with your own breath. It seems like the silliest, easiest little exercise, but I promise after 5 of them, 1, you'll begin to feel tired, and 2, your neck will feel different when you return to work for the rest of the day or whenever you next work at a computer. You're feeling like you're making a double chin as you lift the back of the head up. It's exactly what we're going for. After your 5th one, find your strap. If you cannot clasp your hands behind your low back here, then grab onto your strap as close in as you're able to, feeling like you're trying to pull the strap apart from itself. Using the strength of those legs here, inhale, rise up, Shalabhasana, locust pose. If you feel this in your back, engage your legs more and lower down a tiny bit. Feel like it's not just your head cranking up to the sky, but the crown of your head and your heels are reaching opposite directions from each other as you lift up a little higher. The hands reach back towards the heels as you lift up maybe a little higher. Crown of the head reaches long and away. 1 more breath here. So good. Exhale, release it down. Bring your right ear to the ground this time. Arms extend long down by your sides and relax. Relax everything. Teaching your body what it's like to engage and to release. So often we just stay in this constantly kind of engaged state. So we're never really that strong, but we're never really that relaxed either. And so we find these 2 extremes of our muscles so that we can get more resilience, more power, more ability to live vibrantly. Make your way onto your back. And bending your knees for a bridge pose here. Again, it's not just that we come up to a bridge. It's not just about what we do. It's how we do it. So keep a little space at your low back here. Feet are about hip distance apart. Feel like you're trying to kick your heels back towards your face. Lift up through the hips. Inner thighs are trying to engage towards each other here. See if you could reach your knees further away from you as your heels kick back towards you. If it feels like too much in your neck, either walk your shoulder blades back towards each other, like you're coming to that clasped hand position, or lower down a little bit, finding strength not at the end range of your neck here. If it feels too easy, alternate between being on one leg, taking 5 more breaths here. Whenever you're ready, lowering down 1 vertebrae at a time, leaving space for your low back, keeping a tiny space there like I could shine a flashlight. And taking your strap once more, Bring it behind your left thigh and begin to straighten your left leg out towards the back of your mat or towards the ceiling. Bringing your leg to wherever you can still feel a little space at that low back. We're not flattening our back here. Ribs stay flat against the ground, but low back stays a tiny bit lifted. Bend your left leg and then straighten it. And taking a few rounds of that, flossing the sciatic nerve through the connective tissue in the back of your leg. Relaxing the jaw. Checking in with the shoulders to see that we're not hiking them up towards the ears, but that they're relaxed against the ground and just the left heel kicking to the sky is what we can feel. If you feel a tingling in the back of the leg, do a little less range. We're not trying to anger those nerves. We're just trying to floss them, move them a little bit. Bringing the left foot back to the ground, switching sides, grabbing behind the right thigh. Again, this can be done with the arms, or this strap is a lovely place to be. It doesn't make you lift up, tightening the front of your body. It allows you to stay open in the front of the body while you stretch out that hamstring, bending the right leg and straightening it up towards the sky or towards the back of the mat. However high that right leg is able to go is where you live here. Meeting your body in your present moment of movement here. Moving past comparisons to what it used to be, what it will be, or what you think it should be. Just meeting your body as it is. Maybe even giving it a little thank you or an I love you. Lovely. Releasing the right foot back to the ground. Cross the right leg over the left. Scoot the hips to the right, and then drop your legs down to the left, coming into a spinal twist here. This is too much on your shoulder. Bring the right fingertips to the right shoulder, or you can grab your sweatshirt or a pillow and place it under the shoulder so it has something to relax on. Still feel like the crown of your head is lifting up and away from your body here. And if something doesn't feel right in this twist, adjust it. Move a little out of it or lift up and then come back down. Finding a position of appropriate tension inside yourself where you can breathe. On an exhale, bring your legs back up towards the middle, switching the cross of your legs, moving slowly as you do so, allowing the connective tissue, the muscles to take back their shape. And scoot the hips to the left, drop the knees down to the right. That left shoulder's lifted off the ground here. Bring a sweatshirt, bring a pillow, bring the left fingertips to the left shoulder. We're sending this more towards our mid-back or our thoracic spine. Head begins to turn towards the left, but don't force it. Using your breath to send messages of safety to your body. safe, perfectly safe to be in this position. It's perfectly safe for us to move, to twist, and to breathe. On an exhale, bring the legs back up towards the center. And bend your knees in towards your chest. See if you could grab behind your thighs and spread your knees wide from each other here. Ideally, our bum isn't lifted off the ground, it's implanted on the ground. And again, there's that little space at our low back. This means your feet are on the ground to get this position. That is fine. We're not compromising our low back here just to get a little more stretch in our thighs or our inner thighs. Breathing into this opening in between your legs and your adductors, your medial or inner thighs. And then placing your feet on the ground, drop your knees in towards each other. Feet are wide on the mat. Place one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly. And settling our system down so that it can incorporate all those wonderful new changes we just made and work them into our brain, our motor cortex as something beneficial, as something safe, as something relieving and good to do. Whenever you're ready, you can extend your legs out on the mat. Option to take that shirt that you brought and roll it up like a hot dog, placing it behind the back of your shoulder blades here, so right about where a bra line would be, and open the arms out to a T, so you're laying back over it in a restorative heart opener for your last pose of class today. If that doesn't sound nice to you, just make your way down onto your back for Shavasana. Allowing your forehead to be easy. And the space between your eyebrows to release. Your jaw to unhinge. Allowing the work that you've done to just weave its way into your body. Move the sweatshirt or prop if you put it behind your back. Releasing onto the ground. You're welcome to stay here as long as you please. It's been a beautiful honor to practice with you today. Namaste.